I cannot tell if this is a live stream right now. Hopefully, something will confirm it. Okay, that looks to be the case. So I'm going to get started. Hello, everybody. Dark Souls is probably my favorite game objectively. There are a couple of games that I consider guilty pleasures that I enjoy playing a little bit more sometimes, but overall, I have to say that Dark Souls is the best game I've ever played, even more than Kingdom Rush, despite the fact that I mostly talk about Kingdom Rush on YouTube. That's actually mostly because Kingdom Rush is easier to talk about. I feel like the community is more open to hearing just whatever anybody has to say about the game. It's smaller, so any voice is easier to be heard. And on top of that, because it's a smaller game, it's easier to make videos and talk about it. But Dark Souls is something that I've always wanted to showcase on YouTube because I have lots of stuff to show here. So I'm going to start a new game so that I can demonstrate my favorite build for this game. So if you don't know, Dark Souls is an action RPG. That means that there are stats here. There's not a button for me to showcase the stats or like zoom in on them, but there's stats for you to level up. It allows you to use different, and there's plenty of different you can make. There's also, when it comes to co-op, a penalty for getting too high level. You won't be able to co-op with people that are too far below or above your level. So ideally, you distribute your stats in such a way that you can co-op with the right people for the right situations. So the build that I have is called the Big Baby build. So let me come over here and name it Big Baby, and you'll see by the end why it's called that. Basically, you don't really need any armor, and so you can just wear whatever you want. Therefore, I just took the goofiest item that I could find as an armor piece, like a diaper, and so I just make the character bald and stuff so that way he can look like a baby, and I call him the Big Baby. So it would be a little bit creepy if this was a woman, so I'll make this a male character. Now, as for the starting class, this usually doesn't matter too much, but because I'm a numbers guy and I like to min-max, what I'm going to do is pick the sorcerer, so that way I can get the highest stats for my level possible. So let's go and get the master key. I'm not going to go and explain every single detail about the game because we're going to be here all day. But the master key allows me to unlock certain doors without needing a specific key for that. And so that's why I'm going to use that. Now I'm going to choose the body type that has the biggest head. Therefore, I can look more BB-ish. The Delta Farmer is probably the best starting place for a good like BB-ish face. This doesn't really matter. I can just pick anything for a character. But I'm going to make his young slider go all the way to the left so that way he's got maximum youth. As for his eyebrow, you kind of want to make it anything but dense and thick. And so I'm going to thin out everything on his eyebrows, just like this, because babies don't really have very well-defined eyebrow hair. Now, as for his actual eyes, I'm going to make them a bit larger. They're kind of, they're large in a way that makes them wide but not long. So they're not round. I want round eyes. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Let me go back up to forehead because I think the problem is that his forehead is squishing his eyes. So I'll see if I can try to make this a little bit higher up. These stats here for editing your character, they don't have any effect on gameplay, luckily, because these are extremely complicated. I don't even know how someone came up with this in the first place. Whatever, that'll do. The only other thing that I'll edit is his mouth. I'll make it more purse. And I guess I'll make it a little bit more sad. Or a little bit more happy, I mean. And then finally, I'll move over his mouth and position it just a little bit further down. So he's kind of droopy. Whatever. He doesn't really look like a baby, but your character is a full-grown adult. So that's just going to happen anyways. So I'm interested to know what people in this chat know about Dark Souls so far. Have any of you played it? And for those of you who have, did you beat it? And how many times have you played the game? Because this is one of those games, if you play it, you tend to play it again and again. Me personally, I've played this game probably, I don't know, like 100 times. I've sunk in more hours into this game than any other game, maybe even more than the Kingdom Rush series, although it's kind of hard to determine now since I've played the Kingdom Rush series so much more recently. I'm actually a little bit rusty on this game. I haven't played this in about 2 or 3 years. Ever since I got to work on video ranking every hero across the Kingdom Rush series, I kind of stopped playing other video games for the most part, although I did play a couple here and there. Uh, so I used to know this game like the back of my hand. Now I'm a little bit rusty, but that's all right because I think that will add a little bit more tension to this game. So for the people who haven't played it, what do you know? Nothing? Well, that's all right. What do you know about action RPGs in general? Because I know that there's a couple of games that are well known. Like I'm sure that you've probably heard of Dark Souls before or heard of Skyrim before. That's a good other action RPG that you're likely to know of. Although that's good for completely different reasons. That is fun to me because of how much character growth you can get and experience. But the combat is kind of weak. This game is a little bit of both. Like it has really good combat, and you can get good character growth here. You're gonna see the difference between my character at the start and at the very end. I'm not gonna get to the very end in one go, but by the time I'm at the end game, my character is gonna be overpowered. And there's also incentive to keep on playing the game after you beat it because you can reset the game into New Game Plus, where all the enemies have multiplied stats, including their HP, damage, and the amount of. But because you're restarting the game, you can go and pick up items that are only available once or a couple of times in here. So, for example, spells are something that you can sometimes only pick up once. And because this character is going to be using magic, I want to go through and pick up multiple copies of the same spell. For any of you who do know the game, Dark Bead is something that I definitely want multiple copies of. Now, while this cutscene is still playing, I'm going to head out real quick and grab a glass of water, and then I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Little fun fact: if you cold actually hurts your throat, if you're trying to heal it and you've been talking and stuff, so you generally want room temperature water instead. That's much more soothing for the throat. Your character has stats that increase over time, similar to the heroes in Dark Souls when they level up. I mean, did I just say Dark Souls? the heroes in Kingdom Rush, when they level up, will get increased stats, and they also get points to spend to unlock skills and stuff. In the case of Dark Souls, you gain goals by killing enemies. Now, I have space to equip in my right hand and left hand any weapons, shields, etc. that I happen to own, and that I have the stats to wield. And those stats are visible over here. So this is how much health I have. This is how many slots I can have for spells. Right now, I have space for 3 spells, and I only have 1 equipped, and that's because of my spells. There's only this one that I have unlocked. And on most starting characters, you can't have any spells yet. And then, so this is my space for weapons and other items, and this is another slot for weapons and items in the same vein. And then here's my space for armor to have. So here I can have something on my head, chest, hands, and feet / legs. And then there's 2 slots for rings that I can wear. These ones determine, well, they add all sorts of like really rare effects. These are arrows and bolts and stuff. Don't really need to worry about those. And then here's usable items. I have some items here. I'm not going to be using them just yet. And now, because this is the tutorial, I don't really need to worry about these enemies here. I can just run past all of them. They're just there as punching bags for you to experiment with. Now, all these items and stuff are going to affect what I can do. So the weapons that I have are how I attack. So depending on the weapon that I have equipped, my attack animation is going to be different. The damage that it deals is different. Sometimes the damage type that it deals is different, and enemies have armor and other resistances and stuff, just like in Kingdom Rush. And also, this green bar that's underneath the red bar is my health. The green bar is my stamina. And as you can see, my punch, which is an attack, it's moving the stamina down a little bit, and then it will regenerate right afterwards. So weapons also drain a different amount of stamina depending on the types of attacks that you use with them. So this area right here, I got stuck on this my first time around. I didn't see that there's a little gate you can walk through to not have to fight this guy. Look at him. See, I had heard originally that Dark Souls was a difficult game, and I wanted to get into it because I had just finished. So I was a kid at around the age of 10 or 11, and I had just finished playing some Lego games. And Lego games are fun. I don't have anything to criticize about them really, except for the fact that a lot of them are really, and it was just kind of unfun for me to play easy games. And so I was looking for something that was, and I happened to see in like some IGN magazine that my dad happened to have lying around this list of the top 10 bosses in 2011, I believe was the year. Yeah, where that they could only have one boss per game, and they chose to have a boss from Dark Souls on here. And the boss that they chose to showcase was the Capra Demon. Now, if you've played this game all the way through and fought all the bosses, the Capra Demon is probably one of the least special. Like, if you're trying to get someone into the game, you wouldn't want to showcase the Capra Demon. Oh, whoa, do you see the character's foot right there on the stairs? No, I can't make it happen again. Well, whatever. But yeah, they showcased the Capra Demon, and all I saw in the background was that there's this little green, um, like grassy stuff in the background. I couldn't tell that it was grass though. I just knew that it was vegetation, and so it looked to me like he was some big demon in a forest, and he was like lurking around in there, and it seemed like a really big world RPG. And so I thought, oh, that's cool. And in the description, it's talking about how Dark Souls was notoriously difficult. So it's like, oh, you know, I want this game. So I asked for it for Christmas from my parents since I was 11 at the time. And they got it for me. And because I didn't notice that door that I went through to not have to fight that giant monster yet, I thought that you were just supposed to fight him. After all I had heard about the game was that it was extremely difficult. I was, is this really what you're supposed to do? So being the little kid me who's 11 or 12 years old, I immediately looked for cheat codes for the game. I couldn't find any. I found a couple of like exploits and stuff, but they didn't really apply. You couldn't use them. I didn't understand what was going on anyways. And so I thought you were just supposed to fight the asylum demon like that. And therefore, I just figured that the game was too hard for me. So instead of playing it that year that I got it, I just went and played Skyrim that entire year, and then I came back to Dark Souls because I was still dismayed by the fact that the game I had just played was too easy. Okay, so that's my whole history with finding Dark Souls and getting into it. I totally skipped over like all this other stuff that was going on, but it's alright. I actually kind of intend this video to be viewable and enjoyable to people who have played the game already and know a lot about it. So I don't want to spend too much time explaining every detail about the game. What I will explain though is this boss fight. The main thing for combat in this game is not getting hit, because if you take damage, the amount of health that you lose is very significant. So one thing that I like to try to do with this boss fight is wait for him to do all these attacks, right? And then try to sneak in as much damage as I possibly can. Boom, like that. So when he's doing stuff, normally you want to run up to him and start attacking him. But when he's doing animations that create damage around him, I can't get in close. And so what I want to do instead is shoot soul arrows. It's just a nice little way to expedite the process. So now what I want to do is change where this equipment is in my hands. Basically, you have to have the shield in your left hand because that's how you block and also how you deflect attacks. So this is blocking. This is parrying. You want to parry a lot in this game. And then in your right hand, you want the weapon so that way you can slash and stuff with it. The animations that you get out of those items just get funky and messed up when you put them in the other hands. As for the spell tools, like this staff here, you can put it in either hand. It doesn't really matter. But generally, you want it on your right hand so that you can block in between spell casting. But I didn't need it for that boss fight. All right, that's enough talking. Let me go and look through all the messages that people have posted. Oh, you've played Horizon Zero Dawn? I have that game, but I haven't beaten it. My friend from high school gave it to me as a parting gift before we graduated, and I've just been holding on to it this whole time. Now, here's where the game gets interesting. So the tutorial is kind of linear. You just have to go and defeat the boss, and that's that. However, once you get here, you have all the freedom in the world to go off into these different areas. There's probably like six or so different ways that you can start off once you get to Firelink Shrine. And I really like that about the game. It gives it a lot more replay value because you're not doing the same thing for so long in the game. That's something that the other Souls games don't do as well, in my opinion. Like Dark Souls 3 takes kind of a while for you to start having options to branch out to. Dark Souls 2 does a kind of good job. I feel like the more you play it, the more sense it makes for all the different routes you can go at the start, because a lot of it requires like obtaining certain items to allow you to get to certain places. But enough about that. Let's focus on Dark Souls 1. So I'm coming over here to get all these chests and stuff. I don't really need these items, but the items that I do need are in the next two chests. So the Homeward Bone, I need that. The Lloyd's Talisman, I need that. Surprisingly, because of what I'm trying to do with my build here. So like I was saying before about co-op builds, if you are too high level or too low level to co-op with other players, then it just you won't be able to cooperate with them. Now you can bypass that online by setting a password, and if the other players also have the same password set, then they will be able to see you trying to co-op or whatever else you're trying to do online, and they'll be able to interact with you still. But the downside is that you will get your stats reduced if you're too high level for them. So if I'm level 500 and I set a password and someone summons me at level 1, then I'm going to